Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're covering the Rams Seahawks NFC Championship game. This was an absolute fight. It was a well-executed, high-quality game. Not too many penalties or anything. Really entertaining game. So we're going to go through all the big plays from offense on both sides. So we're going to cover like great plays from quarterbacks, great plays from receivers, but most importantly, the really good play calls because both coaches, Clint Kubiak, McVay, they were locked in on offense. McDonald was dialing up some great plays on defense. So we're going to go through all of that and cover all of that. So make sure before I get into the video, you like and subscribe, but I hope you enjoy. We got to save the best for last. So let's start out with the Rams offense. And what I immediately noticed, that damn 13 personnel. We predicted it in the preview video. We knew they were going to abuse this 13 personnel because they come out and they get those three tight ends on the field. They get Kyron Williams or Blake Corum in the backfield, and you get Puka Nacua, who might as well be a fullback. And the Seahawks respond with 5 DBs. They got to be the only defense in the league that responds to 13 personnel with 5 DBs, so nickel. And, well, the Rams just abuse it. I mean, it's like you come out in a jumbo set against nickel, and they can just run it down their throat. So they did that all game. So we're just going to look at that for one example because I'm not going to repeat that often. But then, now we look at Puka Nacua because his route on this play was just phenomenal. I mean, he's working against Devon Witherspoon, and he releases with this inside leverage. But then, as he reaches the top of this route, he really sells the corner. Like, it sells like he's breaking flatter, like he's really breaking out. And you see Witherspoon, he gets a lot of contact at the top, but then Puka turns real quick vertically. And what that does is Witherspoon thought he was running a standard corner, so you can tell the angle that he's running is just a little flatter. So then Puka, he gets so much separation by just accelerating vertically. Stafford puts a decent ball on, but Puka, man, that dude is unreal. Best in the league right there. So even though JSN balled out, I'm still the number one on the Puka train. All right, so that drive now is ending with Matt Stafford not having a great end of this drive. So for example, I just thought this was a bad decision. This is a 1st and 10, and he's tossing it up to Puka Nacua, running an out and up with not very good leverage. Like, this DB is playing pretty far off. This is a hard timed route. Like, this is a really tough throw to make because it's hard to estimate when Puka is going to be at the target. So, like, that ball misses, but when you go back and look at it, like, Stafford had Corum with good leverage breaking to the left against this linebacker, and that would have been a great play on 1st and 10 if he just checked it down there, yet he didn't. He threw it up. I thought that was a bad play from Stafford. And then we see the end of this drive. This is a 3rd down. And this is kind of a weird play call, I thought, from Sean McVay, because they've run this all year on 3rd down, where you have a 3-by-1 set and then Puka's the perimeter receiver, and then he runs this little under, just like a 5-yard in, and you get a clear out route from the slot. So that they've done that all year, and it might have worked here. Like, Stafford completely misses the throw. I don't know what this was from Stafford. I don't know what happened. That was a terrible ball. Maybe he could have gotten the 1st down. I think that Sean McVay was just banking on the fact that Puka was going to be able to make something happen after the catch. But not only was the throw not good, and I understand that this isn't his first read, but he did have Devontae Adams wide open on this play. So I'm kind of like, maybe look for the 1st down here. Devontae Adams has it. And with this DB triggering downhill, they had obviously scouted that 3-by-1 set with Puka as the perimeter receiver. They knew he was going to run an under. They triggered down on it. That would have been stuff. So I didn't like that from McVay or Stafford, but that drive ended. And now we move on to their run play that I really liked this game. And it was this draw. They whipped it out a few times. And what you have is the tight end immediately turning vertical. So as he releases directly up to backer, then this edge just kind of thinks he's running a route. And then with the kick step from this right tackle, he thinks it's just a pass. So he's going to come on a pass rush when obviously they're just handing it right to the inside. Leonard Williams actually hits an insane spin move on Kevin Dotson here, and he almost makes the play, but like that just barely missed. So that was solid from Leonard Williams, but you see like the center, he's able to just seal that one tech, and then the tackle, he climbs directly up to backer. The edge needs contained, so he's going to release vertically anyway, and then all of a sudden you got both backers blocked, and that thing just hits perfectly. I loved how that run hit. I loved the design of it. So that was one of my favorite little niche plays that they worked, but Anyway, now we work on to Devontae Adams running this route. This was a pretty big play, but I don't think there's much schematic involved. Like, he comes on this slant or like quick post, and I think the DB just trips. Like, he got a little lucky there. Now he turns it into a lot, but not sure that's exactly like hey, that's a great play on the offense there. Seems a little lucky to me. But anyway, now this is an interesting play to me because as Stafford drops back, you can see Devontae Adams. He's working against press man against Josh Jobe. That should go in Devontae Adams' favor. Now, I'm wondering if Stafford looked at this safety and saw him drifting back a little bit and didn't want to throw this ball to Adams. I thought he should have thrown this, but instead, he looks at the tight end running the crosser, and this was played beautifully from the Seahawks defense. This linebacker is going to pass off the crosser to the deep half. Like, you don't really see that where the deep half, when there's a fade to that side, triggers down on the crosser, but I thought that was just played beautifully. It completely eliminated Stafford's read, and the pass rush got home. They get a sack, so that drive ends. That was great from the Seahawks defense. I thought maybe Stafford could have hit Devontae Adams. In fact, they do later in the game. A very similar look. So then I broke this down on the main page. I'm not even sure that this was really meant to be like a big play, even though it resulted in one. I think this was just a test to see how the Seahawks react to the deep dig, because Puka's running it against Tariq Woolen here, and he breaks in on the deep dig, and Tariq Woolen matches, which if you watched my breakdown from yesterday, you would know, or from whenever you're seeing this a few days ago. But whenever I dropped that, you know that the Seahawks were going to match up on these digs because they were so vulnerable to it in week 16. So then Stafford, this is a really tight window. Like, it could not have been much better defense, and yet it gets completed to Puka. So great play from the Rams. I can't believe that even worked. But you know that they come back to that later because they saw that the corners were matching on the digs. So anyway, now we see another one of those draws. Freaking awesome. It's the exact same one. Tight end releases vertically. That right tackle releases vertically. Edge has contained. This edge thinks it's a pass. Leonard Williams works inside again, but he just gets washed down. Center seals out. Oh my God, look at it. It's so pretty. I love that run play. Something about it just like cranks my tractor. But anyway, all right, so now we see this awesome mesh traffic. And Brady, for whatever reason, he was commentating. He tried to break this down twice, and he failed both times. I'm like, Brady, what are you talking about? But yeah, he said it was defensive miscommunication, which is just completely wrong because they run running back mesh traffic, which is just a clear man coverage beater. And the Seahawks ran more man coverage this game than any game before. So Sean McVay in the red zone was like, let me attack that man coverage. So he runs running back mesh traffic, and you get two drags coming across the middle, and Kyron Williams is going to work across the formation on a flat. Now, they try to banjo this. I think this guy's going to pass off Kyron, and then this DB takes him. But, like, Puka completely gets in that DB's way. They run the perfect rub concept. Puka does it really well. He doesn't, like, truly get too much contact, doesn't make it too intentional. And then Kyron Williams, he's wide open in the flat. So, beautiful play call there. I don't know what Tom Brady was saying about miscommunication or whatever. Like, Brady, you know ball better than that. Come on, dude. And then now we start the third quarter. Now, this play is interesting to me because I can't tell if Sean McVay saw something earlier in the first half, because a lot of times, like, you get the first play of the third quarter. If it hits for a chunk gain, usually an elite offensive mind would have seen something, and then that's why they break it out first play of the second half. But this play doesn't really seem like that. They just run a normal play action, and Parkinson is working on the crosser, and like, he had decent separation, but he's working against a corner, so he closes that gap really fast. Stafford throws a beautiful ball, and it somehow gets completed. I don't know if they saw something there. Maybe that was just a pretty lucky big play, but I thought that was really interesting considering it was the first play of the third quarter. Now, this is the play that correlates back to what we saw in that Stafford sack. If you remember this play where he kind of had Devontae Adams working against Josh Jobe in press man. So you come back to this play and you see that same press man. It's a very similar 3-by-1 set. And as the safety drops more towards the middle of the field this time, that's when Stafford immediately looks over to Adams and knows to hit it this time. And he hits it perfectly. That was a perfect ball. Adams gets down into the red zone, and then you just see Adams pure domination on the goal line. I don't know how this is even possible. I mean, look at this release. Look at that. Oh, goodness. I mean, what is Tariq Woolen even supposed to do there? That is just unfair. So, nothing really schematic there. That's just pure dominance from Davante Adams. And then we see another weird play with Davante Adams because he's running this deep corner on a play action, and his guy falls again. Did he do something? Like, did he have a little strategy to get his guy to fall? I don't know what it is, but that happened twice now. So I found that interesting, but that's just a big play there. Found that to be similar to the other two where it's just kind of lucky. But now we see that Puka deep ball. This is my play, man. This is the one that I kind of predicted throughout my preview videos for this game. But if you remember, they're going to match those digs. So Puka, as soon as he breaks right in on that dig, or at least sells that break right in on that dig, Tariq Woolen's going to revert right back to that same technique he used on that play we looked at before on the deep dig, and he's going to beat all over it. He's going to break inside. He's going to try and get hands onto Puka and just eliminate that route. But Puka, guess what he's doing? He's breaking right back out to the fade. I love this play so much because that's the first time I've truly predicted something to that magnitude. So that was pretty awesome. But then I wanted to reinforce this 13 personnel. I mean, look at this. You get Puka in there. He climbs up to safety. That is literally a jumbo set with Puka's big ass and 3 tight ends. I mean, how do you not pick up 10 yards there? That's ridiculous. So then the Seahawks, as we got into the late fourth quarter, the Rams are trying to drive down the field and score. They started playing a lot more of that soft zone coverage. So you saw just straight checkdowns. Like Stafford checks it down to, I think this is Corum here, and he picks up nice yardage. A couple plays later, they check it down to Kyren Williams. You get those clear out routes, soft zone coverage. They just check it down to Kyren. He makes it happen after the catch. He picks up good yardage and another first down. So, that's kind of what they did there towards the end of the game. It seemed like the Seahawks were kind of okay allowing them to get yardage, but you get that soft zone coverage, and they just check it down to Parkinson, and he picks up yardage. So that's kind of what I saw in that last drive. But then we get to that red zone final possession, or not really final, but you know what I mean. And I did not like this run at all. I thought this was horribly blocked, or maybe not even horribly blocked, but just a bad rushing scheme, especially in the red zone, because you're asking Terrence Ferguson to climb all the way up to this backer, seal him towards this side while you're running left. That's not possible. That's literally not possible. And you see what happens. He tries to climb up, and that backer crashes down, and he makes the tackle on Kyren Williams. That was not possible. And I don't know if their assignments were slightly messed up, or if the Seahawks just played that well and came out in a front that the Rams weren't expecting or something, because that is unacceptable. You cannot put your players in that bad of a position, because there was nothing Ferguson could have done there. And then I would have preferred to see this combo block work up here, maybe a combo block working up here or something. I don't know. I just didn't like this rushing design at all. Not a fan of it. And it is not a great red zone play call. So I think that was on McVay there. And then on this one, you see just great coverage from the Seahawks. They had a great red zone scheme, and they just drop 2 hook zone defenders and then have man coverage. So the Rams, they love to hit those underneath, especially in the red zone. So when you take away Parkinson on that quick little crosser, even where he's manned up with him, so he's out of the play. And then Puka, even though he gets open here, you have the hook zone defender. So it was taken away, even though Puka did his job, completely beat his corner, and he's still taken because it was a great defensive play call. And then you get, I think that's Witherspoon on whoever that is, that's Locks. And then Davante Adams, I did not like this route from Davante Adams at all. I just did not think that was much of a chance there on the goal line, and it didn't turn out very well. Stafford has to throw an incomplete pass. So then we see that 4th down, and this was once again just a phenomenal play from Seattle. I thought the only difference that McVay could have made was having Adams break in here. I feel like if he breaks in, and now I don't really know how the play call came about, but in hindsight, if he broke in here, that would have been perfect. That would have been a touchdown. They take the lead. But you do see Kyren Williams against this cover 0 look, he's going to be the first read out, because if they don't cover him, you can hit the flat and that's a touchdown. But you see the DB, I mean, he peeled off of his blitz and he went and covered that perfectly, took that away. Stafford was looking right at it, but you can't do that. And then Outside of that, you get bracket coverage on Puka. You get Devon Witherspoon against Terrence Ferguson. That's locks. I mean, it's just that was perfect defense. So Seahawks, while they got beat at times throughout the game on defense, I mean the Rams are a great offense. McVay's a great offensive mind. He's gonna beat the Seahawks at times, but ultimately, when it really mattered, Mike McDonald he beat Sean McVay down in the end zone, down in the red zone, down where it really mattered. McDonald won. So I thought that was one heck of a little chess match there at the end. Now we move into the Seahawks, and let me just say, there's not like just one thing that the Seahawks did really well. That was maybe the most fundamentally sound, just solid offensive performance I've seen in a long time. And they just looked good. Like they just looked confident. They looked well coached. They were a well-oiled machine, and Sam Darnold led it. I was not confident in his ability going into this game. I know I talked about like his ability to progress, the Rams rotating coverages. You're going to see he proved all of that wrong, and it was just an incredible performance. So the first one we're going to look at is the deep ball to Rashid Shaheed. There's nothing like too schematically special about it. I believe he was just matched up in one-on-one press man. Sam Darnold, as he drops back, he's going to notice that this safety, he rotates down a little bit. And when that safety rotates down, you got your fast receiver on the outside. You're going to chuck it up to him. And look at this ball from Darnold. This is perfect, man. This play right here, I think they mentioned it in the broadcast. It felt like that play propelled them to this performance. It's like that play just was their source of confidence the rest of the game, and it looked like it because this was a pretty awesome play. They come out and quick snap it. So like as soon as they get to the line, bang, snapped it. And you get that soft coverage over on JSN. So this is an RPO. He can either give it to Walker here or flip it out quick to JSN, and he flips it out quick because the coverage was so soft. JSN makes one man miss, and I just love how simple that play was. Hey, if you see that guy off, flip it to JSN, and it worked perfectly. So I like that play a lot. And then we get into this awesome screen design. They scored a touchdown on that drive, and what I love about this is that the Rams are in cover 6. So you have these two deep quarters, you have the flat and then the hook zone from the backer. So you get this route from, I think that's the tight end. He's going to clear out this hook zone. He's going to have to follow him a little bit. And then you have this true clear out route from Rashid Shaheed. That's going to carry both the deep quarters. And what that means is that when JSN releases onto this wheel, this flat defender is going to basically have to carry him because there's nobody else. Well, that's perfect because now everyone is cleared out and you can just throw the screen to Kenneth Walker. That worked perfectly. I thought that was one of the best play designs of the day, and it worked really well. So then this is what I'm talking about with the Rams rotating coverages against Sam Darnold, because like you see here on a second down, when the Seahawks initially run this, it's just, this is the prequel play, just so you know, he rolls out left and you see that the Rams, they run this cover 2 inverse. So you get the cornerback rotating back to take the deep half, and then this guy rotating back to take the deep half, and they just run this boot here. So this doesn't really matter. It's just a short little gain. But on a second down later in the game, this is right before half. This is their huge play. You see that the Rams go back to that cover 2 invert. They were really running it a lot in general. They ran it a ton in week 16. They ran it a ton in week 11. And that's what made it difficult for Darnold. He was having trouble seeing those rotating coverages, and he didn't today. That was the difference. And like you see it here, they rotate back. This guy takes the deep half. This guy takes the deep half. And then you have the middle runner from Landman. And JSN, as he breaks out, you also have Cooper Kupp running this like wheel fade. So this deep half is now responsible for both of these guys. He's in a little bit of a pickle right there. And when JSN breaks out, that of course the safety is going to rotate over there even further. But then when JSN breaks right back in, that safety's in terrible position. That was a perfect play call against a cover 2 invert. Any cover 2 to be honest, but especially cover 2 invert, and it works out for a huge gain, sets them up well before half, and this is where the momentum just mounted for Seattle. Because then, this is what I broke down on the main page. You see that earlier in the game, the Seahawks, on a 2nd and goal from the 19, so unique situation, they call this bunch left look. The Rams respond with this box check with a cover 4. Now, after some motion, they check into man right now on the motion. And then when JSN comes back around, like right now, you can see they check back into that same cover four. The DB drops off, the dime player rotates back in, and then the nickel comes back over and he takes the flat. So it's a little hard to see here because it's a screen, but like you see that diamond structure that indicates a box check. So they have different rules based off of what the offense does, and we're going to see it a little bit better this play. So like they motion JSN across, and then you see they form that diamond structure. Like when he motions across, they make that diamond structure. They align JSN in the backfield so that he has a delayed release, because then when Cooper Kupp runs the out, the nickel, he's going to be the flat defender on this box check. So he's just going to man up with the out, and then this linebacker just kind of takes a zone, like spots drops here, unless somebody runs like a drag or an in. In that case, he's going to man up with him. But the key to this play is that Rashid Shaheed is running a deep post, and with JSN's delayed release, this deep outside quarter doesn't think he has any responsibility to the outside of him. So he's just going to carry Rashid Shaheed. But JSN, off of that delayed release, gets perfectly open right into the end zone. And look at this ball from Darnold. Darnold was locked in this game. He drops back. He's got pressure in his face. He's got one guy at his feet, another guy just coming right at him. Oh my God. Darnold, man, what a game from Darnold. But that was one heck of a play call right there from Clint Kubiak. So now we start the second half, and look at this route from JSN. He's working against Landman, so you'd think JSN would be fine, but Landman gives him a hell of a zone chuck, throws him like 5 yards off his spot, but JSN just works right in between all the zones. You can't teach that. That's just so intuitive. He's so smart. I love that play from JSN. So then we go back to more of the cover two invert. Rams, get out of the cover two invert. It is not working. And in the red zone, I think this was right after the muffed punt, but like you get the sell corner and then break in on the post. In that deep half, he's responsible for too much room to worry about that kind of route. And Darnold has perfect timing on that and just zips it in for a touchdown. Huge play for the Seahawks there. That gave him a nice lead. And we go back to the cover two invert. Rams, what are you doing? Get out of the cover two invert. This guy rotates down, becomes the middle runner. This guy rotates back, becomes the deep half. And like Darnold, he's just going to read this flat defender because they have like a flood concept dialed up. So clear out route, deep corner, and then quick out. So if this flat settles on the flat, then he's going to hit the corner. And if the flat settles on the corner, then he's going to hit the flat. So that cornerback, he takes the corner. So Sam Darnold, he just hits it right to Cooper Kupp. They pick up a first down on a third down. That's a huge play right there. And Rams were back in that stupid cover two invert that worked so well for them before, but they just refuse to get out of now. So then we go back to some of those screen passes. We saw them try to do it here, but it was a bad ball from Darnold. But then I believe these two correlate because it's similar second and short situations, and the Rams just stack the box. And then the Seahawks respond to that by motioning JSN out and quickly just throwing it right over to him because it was his own coverage. They stacked the box, and Cooper Kupp, he's a good blocker, so he blocks that DB, and then there's literally nobody within like 15 yards of JSN, so he takes it for an easy first down. I thought that was another just pretty simple, solid play call just to get the ball to guys in space. Now we go back to some impressive stuff from Sam Darnold, because here, this isn't really anything physically special, but the reason this impresses me is because I was a little nervous about his ability to progress in this game, and this play just fully proves me wrong, because you have his initial read being Barner running this like post, and that gets pretty well covered. I believe they're in a cover 3, so the post isn't going to be open there. But then he works right to JSN. You can see the head snap. He works right to JSN, and he's covered slightly. He maybe could have fitted in there, but when he saw JSN, he also looked towards Cooper Kupp breaking in, and when that hook zone settled on JSN, that opened up Cooper Kupp perfectly. He takes it for a touchdown. I thought that was a beautiful progression from Sam Darnold, and I did not see that from him in the first 2 games, so that was a heck of a job from him there. Now, this is a pretty interesting play because this is originally from Week 16. when the Seahawks hit that huge end around to Rashid Shaheed, and it worked really well for him. This was a huge play in that game. This propelled them to the win. Like, this was one of the key plays, and it worked really well for the Seahawks, obviously. But then they tried to run it back in the divisional round or in the conference championship, and it just did not work. They came out in that exact same look, and Rams were all over it. Look at how disciplined these guys are. They just did not fall for it this time. They were all over it. Rashid Shaheed takes it for no gain. I thought that was pretty good adjustments from the Rams defense, despite their a lot of liking towards cover two invert. But anyway, now we see another great Sam Darnold read because you have man coverage, but I believe these are banjo principles. So Sam Darnold's just going to wait to see what the defense declares. And then as soon as he notices that you have like 6 yards of separation of the DB towards Kenneth Walker, he just zips out to Kenneth Walker. They pick up a first down on a 3rd and long in a huge point in the game. So that was awesome. And then I wanted to take some time to just go over the final drive because I thought this was phenomenal. It was really good sequencing because here, 1st and 10, first play of the drive, they just run it to Kenneth Walker. He picks up solid gain. But the key is that then they immediately go into play action. You run play action here. Rams actually weren't fooled here. They were probably expecting the play action. There were at this time like 4 minutes left, so it's not unreasonable. But like the safeties, they don't crash down. They got Rashid Shaheed covered. Emmanuel Forbes is all over JSN, but you do have Kenneth Walker working against this edge, and I thought Sam Darnold made a good decision checking it down. I liked how he brought Kenneth Walker back to the ball. I'm not sure if that was entirely intentional, but it ended up working out really well because Kenneth Walker made a lot out of not too much. That was a heck of a play from Walker right there. But then you go back to first down, they run it again. So it's constantly that 1st and 10 run, 1st and 10 run. And you're going to see it pay dividends because then they go right back to play action on 2nd down. So just like last time, run 1st and 10, play action 2nd down. They keep going to it. And at some point, the Rams are like, when are they going to stop? But on this play, they just run the play action, and this ends up going for an incompletion. So it's a win for the Rams, but the Seahawks did have this check down. That could have worked out really well. And if Sam Darnold places the ball about right here, I think JSN's able to go and get it. I wouldn't say this is a phenomenal play from Darnold. Pretty much impossible play right there. But it ended up working okay because Clint Kubiak had a phenomenal 3rd down play call because you motion Cooper Kupp in, and against man coverage where you just have the man defenders, he's going to work right underneath JSN. Now, I wish JSN would have kind of influenced Cooper Kupp's man defender and then broke into his route, but it ends up working out nonetheless. Cooper Kupp breaks in on the drag, and he's open enough across the middle. They pick up the first down. Great ball from Darnold again. Like, these are the kind of things that really matter, these kind of throws, because like he has pressure in his face and he just threw it perfectly right where only Cooper Kupp could get it. That's an underrated throw from Darnold, and that's a huge reason, those type of plays, as to why they won. Now then, 1st and 10, they go back to the run. So you see what I'm saying? They're sequencing it so well that every 1st and 10 has been a run. So then, like, they come out on 2nd, and everyone in the stadium is like, there's no way they run play action again on 2nd down. And the Rams obviously didn't expect it either. The linebackers crashed down as soon as they run the play action. But, I mean, they ran it again. Like, that is ballsy, man. That is really ballsy play calling. But Sam Darnold does a great job. He's going to roll out right when this edge breaks in, and then he finds JSN one-on-one. JSN's going to cook that. So they pick up a first down. The game could have ended there, but JSN got out of bounds. But then as that drive goes along, back on first down, back to the run. So we're seeing it again, even though it's like kind of unpredictable, but still so predictable. You know what I'm saying? It's very interesting sequencing. So I found this to be one of the most fascinating parts of the game to me, because after that run, then they go right back to play action. There's like 2 minutes left. I mean, this is some ballsy ass play calling, and they go back to the play action. The cornerbacks were not expecting it. Cooper Kupp blows past him, gets a holding call, and even if that holding call didn't happen, you have JSN running the shallow cross. He was open against the man coverage. You had all those guys in the box too. I mean, just look at all those guys down there. So Sam Darnold, he rolls out, but he barely misses this throw, but it didn't matter because you got the holding call. But I mean, that was one heck of a final drive there from Clint Kubiak and the Seahawks. I thought they executed that really well. That was one heck of a game, and I had a lot of fun going through both sets of film from their prior two games, getting the preview ready, and then working into the review. Let me know if you guys liked that format, how I previewed the game and then also reviewed it. I wanted to kind of try that out, see if you guys liked it. So let me know in the comments. But I had a great time reviewing this. I mean, Sam Darnold, I was not confident, but he totally proved me wrong. He had a lot more success against those rotating coverages in this game than he did the prior two, and that was truly the difference. Sam Darnold, he was the key to this game, and he showed up and he performed like he needed to. And man, congratulations to him. That was one heck of a performance from him. And I'm excited to watch this Super Bowl. So let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. But I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for all the support.